Let me ask you something. How does your body feel and react when I say the word commitment? What about discipline? Structure? What is happening inside of your body? If you're saying nothing at all and you're like, yeah, let's get to it, I love commitment, then this video is not for you. However, if you felt even a tinge of discomfort, resistance, or like this yuck feeling of like, I don't want to be tied down, this is not for me, then keep on watching, because in this video, I'm going to break down why we fear commitment so much, but why we need it in order to create the life of our dreams. Maybe you are someone who wants to retire early. Maybe you have this goal and dream of creating this amazing business for yourself. Maybe it's a relationship that you want. Maybe it's investing for your children's future. Whatever it is, it's going to require you to make a decision and stick to it. When I share with my clients that commitment and some sort of structure is required in order for them to attain their dreams, I could see with a lot of them the physical cringy reaction of like, I do not like what's happening here. And the truth is that I don't blame them, because I was the queen of fearing commitment. I didn't even like the connotation that the word had. Discipline, structure, commitment, boring, tied down, claustrophobic, it never felt good for me. Until I learned that if you want to attain any level of success, you gotta commit. But before we dive into the good stuff, please commit to liking this video and subscribing to the channel, because it truly does help the algorithm. Basically, the more you do that, the more people will be able to watch this video. And all we want to do is help more people. So I appreciate you, thank you, and let's get to it. The first illusion is that people feel that if they commit to something, they are now tied down, and it's giving them less time and less freedom to either do what they really want to do or have their options open. Committed means you're sticking to something and you're focusing on something, and now you can't have your focus on something else. The irony is that it's exactly the opposite. And I want you to think about this. If you are someone, imagine you're on the couch and you have all these dreams in your head and you're thinking about all the amazing things that you want to create in your life. But every time it gets a little too serious or it gets down to you needing to take the next step, your mind tells you, you know what, wait, maybe something better could come along. Let's see, right? Let's see, tomorrow, next week, whatever. How is that not wasting more energy and more time than taking that exact time that you're sitting there and floating around, right? And actually doing something, committing to it. Basically, when you commit to something, you're freeing up space. When you are not committed, you are also less focused. And when you are less focused, you waste a lot of time, right? The energy is chaotic. We're all over the place. And it happens to the best of us, but it's just the reality. And my clients always laugh when I prove it to them, right? When they say, oh, but I like to be spontaneous and, I just like to be on the go and I don't want to commit myself. And I say, you don't realize that by creating a certain structure, committing to something, whatever it is, that you're actually going to free up more time for yourself. And only once they put this into action do they say, yes, what was I thinking, right? And this is why I'm listing it as one of the illusions. So no, it's not tying you down. It's actually freeing up all the space that you would have previously just been busy with thinking, not committing, and trying out a million different things. All right, let's go to fear number 2. Fear number 2 is really just procrastinating, creating and living your best life, because guess what? Your fear is really a fear of success. So instead of saying, oh, I fear commitment, I want you to reframe this and say this out loud. I am afraid to commit to my success. How does that taste now? Because when we commit, we make a decision, right? We're decisive. It creates a certain level of certainty in you. And then you're left with no choice but to take certain actions, right? Those actions could actually bring you success. But most people stop themselves before that could actually happen. Which brings me to fear number 3, which is really a lack of self-belief. Because as I said before, when you commit to something and you have a dream, you have a goal, you have a vision, and you decide that this is what you're going to do, what happens is that once you get on that path, you are going to encounter obstacles, right? It doesn't just go a direct linear path to success. It's quite a bit of a roller coaster. So you might not believe in yourself enough that you could handle those obstacles and challenges that may come your way once you commit yourself to something. So most people never end up going as deep, meaning they start something. And by the way, when I say most people, I did that for most of my life, okay? Up until a few years ago, so no judgment here. But most people, when the goings get tough, they back off. So what happens is that they keep floating like a butterfly from thing to thing, project to project to project, never seeing something through to completion. Why? Because there's a lack of belief that they could handle the hard times. Because just as much as the possibilities are there for success, there are just as much obstacles. But the fun part is that if you keep going and you learn from the obstacles and you keep moving forward, that's the only time you could taste that sweet victory of success. But if you stop yourself and you hold yourself back and you can't even commit because you don't believe that you could actually pull through whatever it's gonna require from you, then that's just another illusion holding you back from your dreams, from the success that you could have. Because the fear feels real after all. Number 4 is something that we've probably all encountered at one point or another, and that is a fear of responsibility. What responsibility am I speaking of? The responsibility, imagine a relationship, right? There might be a fear, especially if you're an empathetic person and you're someone who feels like they're responsible for other people's experiences and happiness. You might have a fear of taking on someone else's emotions, reality, struggles, pain, whatever it is, and you might simply not feel ready for it. And here's where healthy boundaries come in, right? To understand that you are your own person, you're responsible for your own well-being, and as much as you care and love for other people, their struggles and their reality is not yours to carry. And I'll give you an example, even as a coach, right? The reason I'm doing coaching is because I truly love people and I want to empower other people. However, what kept me from doing this type of work for many, many years was that because I am so sensitive and because I tend to take on other people's emotions, I did not feel like I could handle it until I learned boundaries, until I learned that that is not my responsibility. My responsibility is just to awaken in someone else their own power. Not for me to enable them or feel responsible for their happiness. Just the opposite, right? Because the opposite empowers. So this is just another example, and I don't know how you could connect it in your own life, where fearing responsibility makes us not want to commit to begin with. Number 5, we have an illusion and fear of missing out. FOMO, right? The reason for that is because, especially in today's generation, we are so wired to need instant gratification, right? Think about your phone. I was going to pick up my phone, but I'm recording from my phone. Think about the instant social media, messages, texting. We're constantly connected, and it makes people want this instant pleasure instead of thinking down the road, right? So I always tell my clients, do you want a Band-Aid and pleasure right now to give you immediate relief? Or will this same pleasure be a pain down the road because you didn't do what would actually be good for you? And this is like a conscious choice that we always have to make. We gotta slow down and realize that we are so addicted to the instantaneous reactions and experiences that we gotta slow down to realize what is really going on here, what is really true for us, what is our goal, and does this instant gratification fit where we want to go? I also find that this fear of FOMO makes people go wide instead of deep, okay? And think about this for a moment. When we go wide, we touch the surface, right? We stay on the shallow end. Many relationships, because we want a taste of everything, right? I have a fear of missing out. Many different projects all at once. And there's nothing wrong with it, meaning I also have more than one project, right? But I'm committed to all of those projects. But I digress, okay? We're going to talk about the benefits of commitment in just a moment. But going wide means that you're never truly going deep and seeing something through. The benefit of seeing something through or going deep, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, is because it teaches you things that only reveal themselves as you go along in this progress. But if you're not going deep enough, you're not being there long enough to learn the lessons, to unravel brilliant magic, because you stopped yourself short. It's like, I want a taste of this, a taste of that, and always fearing of missing out on something greater, and then we don't really get to do anything. And once again, when I tell you these things, I am speaking directly from experience. I used to start projects or start something and then stop myself at a certain point. With certain things, I would continue for a while, but then my mind would just convince me that I need to do something else. And most of the time, that convincing comes from some fear. One of the fears that I just listed before, okay? Like, what am I really afraid of? Do I not believe in myself enough, right? What is it that's making me stop and want to go to the next thing and not even find out what this commitment could bring me, the magic that it could bring me? And to be honest, I was always 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door. In everything, I always needed a way out, okay? Until one day, a couple of years back, one of my business partners in a different company, he sat me down and he said, Hindy, I need an answer from you. Are you in or are you out? And I'll never forget that day. It was a Friday in middle of January, freezing cold. I believe that, I had a cold myself and, I'm just like busy with my tissues. And I'm like, what? I need to decide. I need to make a decision. And that claustrophobic feeling comes up of like, what if I'm making the wrong decision? What if, because we feel like we're married to this thing and there's no way out, right? And I thought about it and I asked myself a very important question. I asked myself, did you see success by not being committed? Like, what results did I see by not being committed? And then I asked myself, if I want something else, I gotta do something else. So let me try the other thing. Let's see what happens. Now, friends, I cannot begin to tell you what transpired in my life since I made that commitment. Everything started opening up because you need a container for where the blessings could come in. If you're constantly floating like a butterfly from flower to flower to flower, you're not carving enough of a path or enough space for magic to fall into your laps. You gotta carve out something for yourself so you could contain whatever wants to come through. You're not even open to blessings and success if you're closed and just going from think to think to think to think, right? Like a butterfly, just flying around. Now, let me clarify something. Let me clarify when I am talking about commitment, what I mean. Because something that I have learned over the years is that I may have one word and one definition in my mind, But if you're hearing this, you may have a completely different definition, right? It's like when I say the word God, some people imagine a scary man in the sky with a beard and they want nothing to do with that. And then I say, oh, that is not my God, right? My God is just love. So the same thing here. When I say commitment, I don't mean that you have to be rigid and like 10 o'clock in the morning, review your stuff. And if it's after 10, now, the discipline is gone, or that you need to commit yourself to something and by hook or by crook, even if it's not working and you're not aligned with it, to continue going just because you committed yourself. That's not the type of commitment that I am speaking of at all. Now, let me blow your mind, okay? The commitment that I speak of after everything that I have said is the commitment to yourself. To yourself. And I'll show you how that looks in my life, right? My commitment to myself is number one. I will always be growth oriented. I will grow myself no matter what. And number two is that I will help people. Now, this service to others could look in so many different ways. I am not married to exactly how it needs to look like. It has to come from coaching, or it has to come from group coaching, or it has to come from, a blog post or whatever it is. It could channel its way, right? It could channel its way out whichever way it wants to. I may have 10 different ways that I could go about it. I could have different offerings. I could do it what I'm doing now, right? I'm sharing a video. I could do a blog post. I could share something on Instagram, but my commitment is still to service. And as you guys know, like I do business consulting because it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if I'm coaching an executive or if I'm at a client and we are restructuring their entire business. I am still bringing myself along, right? So my commitment stays. Now, I want to make a super, super, super important distinction between being committed and rigid to like a very specific process as opposed to being internally committed to the path that you want to be on, right? Being committed to a process can look like I have to post on Instagram every single day because the coaches and consultants, this is what they say, like if you don't post every day, you can't grow a business, right? That's rigid, as opposed to saying, I am committed to helping other people. Today, maybe it's an Instagram post, and tomorrow will be a video, and the third day, I am just available for the clients that come my way, and I sit with them, and that day, I don't need to, create any content. You could be flexible. Because here's the kicker, and I see this time and time again, how this aspect makes my clients successful when I tell them that when they are committed internally, right, to their path, to their vision, the right actions will more naturally and fluidly come along, right? So it's like if I am committed to helping other people, I don't have to worry about the external, like post now, 10 o'clock, do this, 5 o'clock, do that. No, when I am so committed here, I will know what to do. Like the next step will reveal itself. But the next step doesn't reveal itself before you're not 100% decided and committed to that path, right? So you want the actions, the external actions to come to you very naturally by being committed internally first. You are ensuring that you will stay on track and that you will know what to do. The actions will all come together to support you because you know where you're going. Now let's talk about the benefits of being committed. Besides just reducing the chaoticness and allowing you to open the door to success, it gives you a lot of clarity, right? The moment you block out the noise and you go after something, whatever it is, right? It just brings you much more clarity. This clarity gives you confidence. It gives you a certain level of certainty within yourself. And when you have certainty, you're also a lot more resilient because you know that any challenges, any obstacles, anything that may come your way, that you will get through it because you are going deeper not wider. Now, the most important question is, what are you, my dear, committing yourself to? I want you to leave me a comment below what that is, because I can't wait for you to see magic happen, erupt from that commitment, from that decision. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I hope this helped you. And of course, feel free to share this video with anyone that you think this may help. I love you guys so much. Make it a great one.